So I'm going to riff for a minute here. Here's a question. What if a CEO or the CEOs or the chief whatever of public corporations, or it doesn't even matter, any company, were paid, ready? Not just on performance for financial, but if they were also paid on customer experience? What do you think would change inside organizations? And the whole audience just was quiet. And then they thought about it for a second and they said, wow, our culture would change. I'm like, exactly. Leadership makes decisions. Frontline has to put up with them, has to enforce them, has to make them come alive when in fact they may have nothing to do with reality or the customer experience. Second kind of organization are ones where decisions are made first with what's the outcome going to be relative to our customers' experience. In other words, does this decision we're making and we're expecting the front line to enforce, right? The people at the front of the company, the people who are in front of the customers every single day, and their peers and their colleagues, and have to explain it, have to sell it. What would that result be? A sales culture. Because you see, it's to me, it's just insane not to tie company performance to customer experience. Because really, at the end of the day, what determines financial performance, especially if you're, well, I was going to say if you're private or public, we have different parameters, obviously. But what really determines company performance? Well, it's how well the company does financially. Is that actually connected to the customer experience? And I'll postulate, there's my big word of the day, that no, not nearly enough. Look, I'm not sitting here saying, companies should sacrifice financial well-being for customer experience. In fact, they're so tightly linked, you couldn't sacrifice one and not have the other. What I am saying is this. Now, listen up, because I don't think enough people get this. In a sales culture, decisions are made through the lens of how will this help our customers say yes? How will this help our customers have a good experience? Because everything we do is a selling moment. So, if you create rules and parameters and things that the people in front of the customers every day have to live by, have to enforce, have to explain to the customers, and it makes sense, then you have happier employees, right? Like, shouldn't be rocket science to figure that one out. If you put rules out there that are unenforceable or make no sense or fly in the face of all conceivable logic, like, oh, I don't know, banks and airlines at times, at least that's been my experience, what do you expect the end result to be? Happier employees? Hell no. Unhappy employees, where employee morale goes like this slowly. You start chipping away at these people because you're putting them in front of people who, are completely mystified about the decisions that are being made, and you're asking your people to enforce them. And that chips away at their morale, which chips away at your profits, which creates a siloed culture, which means eventually the best you'll ever be is mediocre. Don't bet against me on this one. It's absolutely true. If you're really going to create the culture that grows organizations, look inside and say to your people, what can you realistically, genuinely, and authentically say to our customers about why we do things? And if you can do that and say, this makes sense, this will improve the customer experience, and we're putting our people in a position to succeed, you will sell more. It's not about giving more stuff. I don't need another toaster or another, flavor of coffee in the airport lounge. What I need is people who are happy, love what they do, and believe in the roles, believe in the things, the parameters that leadership has thought through and says, yeah, this is going to help our customers say yes. That's what makes you competitive. That's what makes you memorable. That's what stands you out against your competitors. That's what makes a difference.